Hello, I'm Rachel and I welcome you all to Executive Corner Expert Talks. Today I'm speaking with David Kaspari. David is CEO at Janison. Now Janison is an Australian-owned ASX-listed education technology pioneer which has emerged to become a global leader to improve the way the education industry can run assessments. Here at Kalkheim we bring you industry leaders, successful business owners, market and equity advocates, all under one roof to help you discover the insights of the stock market and help you understand how you can create multiple passive income streams. Welcome to you, David. Great to chat with you today.
Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Very interested to hear more about Janison. So first off, could you give us a little more insight into what Janison does and the geographies it works within?
My pleasure, absolutely. As you said in the opening, Janison is a global market leader in digital assessments and assessment products. Our technology and our products are, we consider, an absolute global force for good for schools and for governments. And at its most basic, we move traditional pen and paper assessments, this vintage, prehistoric part of the assessment ecosystem, and move them into the 21st century. Then we move them online, and that allows teachers to focus on what matters most, which is driving teaching and learning outcomes. We're a Sydney headquartered, ASX listed EdTech. We will deliver more than 7 million tests to more than 5 million students in more than 100 countries this year, from Brazil to China to Singapore, and closer to home in our headquarters here in Australia. And it's probably worth orienting the discussion in the fact we have three growth businesses. Firstly, our technology platform. It powers jurisdictions and governments globally, whether it be the national assessment in Australia called NAPLAN, whether it's the Singapore government or many others. Our second growth unit is our global partnership with the OECD based in Paris to roll out this extraordinary program called PISA for schools. We're already in 19 countries with them, on our way to more than 50. And finally, we have a very rich and diverse educational assessments business, a suite of products that address the needs of schools and parents. And that's where we've made a number of acquisitions this year.
Well, now the education industry does seem to be ripe for a digital transformation, as you mentioned there. How are you helping to facilitate this?
You're absolutely right, Rachel. The education sector, as a general rule, has been a laggard in the adoption of technology. And in the area of assessment, it is the laggard of the laggard. The concept that kids spend most of their time learning on digital items, and then at the end of a term or during term, they have to do an assessment on pen and paper, only to be marked by teachers who are desperate for more time to focus on what matters. It's prehistoric. And so, we're seeing the digitization occur now. It has been accelerated by COVID, even though we started working on this almost 10 years ago with major jurisdictions. We've seen it most recently address issues like continuity as schools shut and students had to work from home. Assessment needed to continue, and the only way for that to be done is for those to be moved online and digital. We've been working with jurisdictions that have been desperate to understand the amount of learning lost through COVID, and we've developed this extraordinary product, Check-In, which most recently the New South Wales Department of Education used to identify precisely the amount of learning lost and to provide that information back in the hands of teachers the next day so they could stage those interventions. And we're focused on improving educational outcomes globally, and the PISA for schools is a great example. All of this is enabled by the ability for digitization and the taking of assessments online to cross boundaries, to cross countries, to get into the hands of anyone from the most affluent student in school to the most socioeconomically disadvantaged in the world.
Well, all kids are so used to working digitally these days. How do you hope to digitize and modernize their assessments and their work?
Look, the digitization and modernization for enterprises and jurisdictions is in part about efficiency, it's part about effectiveness, it's a part about continuity. But for the students themselves, it's different. It's about creating a better, assessment experience, providing them with different types of test questions and items that will allow them to actually have much more engaging, authentic assessments, get the most out of them. It's about having assessments that adapt so that children that are working in the very highest level of performance get a certain test, but maybe a student who struggles academically will have a test that adapts live to them. It's about really bringing to life the questions, whether it's in multimedia or other things, to engage and to get a much better assessment outcome. This can only be done through technology.
There are such huge advantages, but pupils do face a large amount of screen time these days. How do you help combat digital fatigue?
Digital is not the answer. It's a small part of the education ecosystem, the education experience. Kids need to get back into classrooms. They need to spend time interacting with peers, building social skills, building those relationships that are so crucial, working in the areas outside the curriculum, where it's about creativity, critical thinking, extracurricular activities. What we want to do is, where we can provide improvements in teaching and learning, or provide efficiencies, or create opportunities for teachers to have more time to focus on the students, that's where digital should play a role, not as a replacement for the human experience.
And if we could just turn to financials now, you've recently released your first half results for 2022 and seen a great boost to revenue. What can you tell me about that?
Yes, Rachel, I'm delighted with the performance of the business. We've had a record half on the back of a record year last year. We grew close to 25% for the half. We dramatically improved our gross margins in line with our strategy. We're approaching $20 million in revenue just for a half. We delivered 2.5 million tests on the way to 7 for the year. In customers all around the world, we made 2 acquisitions, all while helping our customers, our schools, our governments through COVID. It's a half we are very proud and very pleased with.
Sounds absolutely phenomenal. And just finally, David, what exciting plans do you have for the future of Janison?
We're very focused on those growth areas that I shared with you before, taking our partnership, our exclusive partnership with the OECD to roll out this piece for schools globally will have such a positive impact on improving school performance. We continue to want to support governments and jurisdictions power their assessments and create better assessment experiences as they take them online. We want to address the needs of educational continuity, and we want to put tests, competitions, well-being assessments in the hands of parents and in the hands of teachers so that they can engage their students most effectively. It's an exciting time, and then over the horizon we're starting to think about what data, insights, artificial intelligence and other technologies will allow us to even further enable.
Sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, David.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me.
Thank you. Till then, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.